What's up, everyone? This is the Next Tape Podcast, episode 178 with Mikel and
Tanyka.
where we have conversations on different topics. So, today's episode, we'll be exploring on different topics, and Tanyka and I are going to do that today. So, what are the topics today?
So we're going to be talking about two federal judges saying that AI led to some errors in court rulings. Immigration lawyer sounds alarm on Bill C-12. And Air Canada decides to cut management jobs. And I have a couple bonus topics.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay.
all right.
That sounds fun.
Let's
get to it.
get to it. So, two federal judges admitted in response to an inquiry by U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley that members of their staff used artificial intelligence to help prepare recent court orders that Grassley called error-ridden. In letters released by Grassley's office on whatever day this was, well, this was on October 23rd, District Judge Henry Wingate in Mississippi and U.S. District Judge Julian Xavier Niels in New Jersey said the decisions in the unrelated cases did not go through their chambers' typical review process before they were issued. Both judges said they have since adopted measures to improve how rulings are reviewed. Niels, based in Newark, in his letter said a draft decision in a securities lawsuit was released in error, human error, and withdrawn as soon as it was brought to the attention of my chambers. He said a law school intern used OpenAI's ChatGPT for research without authorization or disclosure. Niels said his chambers has since created a written AI policy and enhanced its review process. Reuters previously reported that research produced using AI was included in the decision, citing a person familiar with the circumstances. Wingate said in his letter that a law clerk in his court in Jackson used Perplexity as a foundational drafting assistant to synthesize publicly available information on the docket. He said posting the draft decision was a lapse in human oversight. Wingate had removed and replaced the original order in the civil rights lawsuit and previously declined to give an explanation, saying it contained clerical errors. The judges did not immediately respond to requests for comment sent to their court staff. Grassley had asked the judges to explain whether AI was used in the decisions after lawyers in the cases said they contained factual inaccuracies and other serious errors. Grassley, in a statement, said he commended the judges for acknowledging the mistakes and urged the judiciary to adopt stronger AI guidelines. Quote, each federal judge and the judiciary as an institution have an obligation to ensure the use of generative AI does not violate litigants' rights or prevent fair treatment under the law. Lawyers have also increasingly faced scrutiny from judges across the country for apparent misuse of AI. Judges have levied fines or other sanctions in dozens of cases over the past few years after lawyers failed to vet the output the technology generated. So that's that article, but as a person in law, obviously we're talking about orders. It is very, 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 very important that orders are. I don't know how it's done in the States, but if we're talking orders or we're talking decisions, it did say decisions, but so decisions are usually drafted by the judges. That's how it goes. But it's very important that the language in an order or a decision or whatever it may be is very precise. Because if there is any form of ambiguity, that can become a problem in the world of law. So this should not be happening. Not in a legal sense where this is happening within the courts or law firms or whatever. This should not be happening. We are stressed, and I'm sure in any profession, but especially in law, because it can mean lawsuits. It is very important that you proofread anything you're
mhm,
producing.
mhm,
So to see that a court, a judge, and his staff are
mhm,
not reviewing what AI is spitting out to make sure everything is accurate is
mhm.
nonsense to me. And it
Yeah.
goes to show that AI is creating laziness. Use the AI if you want to. Law firms are inputting AI into their workspaces. It's happening. Not in my
Mhm,
workspace that I am aware of, but it is happening in other firms
uh,
here in Canada. But if you are
mhm,
going to be doing that, you need to proofread, proofread, proofread. It is literally the number one rule that all legal assistants slash law clerks, paralegals, lawyers, we
mhm,
learn this.
mhm.
Lawyers were judges once. So how is this happening? How is a clerk potentially writing this up and then the judge isn't reviewing it? That should not be happening.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is just like, it's I feel like this is laziness on the
Mhm,
judge's
this is
part.
laziness.
Another thing, feel like I feel like this is not just chat G- I sorry, AI. I
If
feel
they
like
said it's
I
AI.
think
AI, they're
yeah, yeah,
doing
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
they're
yeah,
doing with
yeah.
AI and
Sorry,
then
my bad.
yeah.
I worded it wrong. I mean, like I don't feel like this is it. It depends what they typed. So they could have been just been lazy and typed it away and just AI just like, gave like a straight article and etc. or information and it just didn't like you said, like the article that you just read, it didn't just proofread it. So
But
uh
it's not like articles or whatever. They're
mhm, mhm.
drafting to make this make sense for you.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
decision is a decision following usually a trial, particular motions like a summary judgment motion, um, those types of things. That's usually what decisions come out of,
Yeah.
or an appeal or something like that. Those are what decisions are normally brought out of. Takes a
What do
few
you
months to usually draft that,
mhm,
and that's drafted by the judge who oversaw that hearing. So my
mhm,
question then is maybe what's happening here is the notes are being inputted or whatever, because I don't understand how
ok
ChatGPT or whatever AI platform that they are using
uh-huh, uh-huh.
is creating a decision. I mean, if it's happening, it's happening. But then
Yeah, yeah,
how is that
yeah.
not being proofread? An order, which is, again, I don't know how things are done in the States, but here in Canada, when you have a draft order, which is usually drafted by the moving party, which is the lawyer's office, the moving party that is bringing that motion drafts that order. And all the judge has to do is sign it. Done. So again,
Um,
in the States, I don't know how that happens.
so
But again, it should be standard.
yeah, I just think they should be doing things the old way. Nobody should be using ChatGPT, in my opinion. And in my
I would
opinion,
agree with that.
uh, like any parts of the government, I would say, because if they can ban like TikTok over at the government over there, they can
Mhm,
ban any like until it reaches the level of like uh it's not there yet. Like
mhm,
the AI is not really right there yet to the point it's that smart.
mhm,
Uh, I just don't think government officials should be using uh Chat GPT.
mhm.
So
And I agree, but again, I'm just to make this
uh-huh.
w I agree with you 100% that AI should not be really being introduced, especially in the law area either, because
Mhm.
it's, uh, making sure things are accurate depending on what type of law you're doing,
Yeah,
is very crucial because you can form ambiguity.
yeah,
Um, and seriously, like, this is a true story. I heard this from somebody else, but
yeah,
even just a simple miswording in a contract
yeah.
can create just an avalanche of problems. So it's
Mhm.
very important. Unfortunately, though, AI is being introduced into the legal field. When I look at, how we do things here in Canada, again, I don't know
Yeah,
how it's in the States, but in
yeah.
Canada, we have what's called CPD courses, something that lawyers have to do every year, law clerks have to do every year as well.
Mhm,
It's basically education that you have to do as a lawyer or a clerk every year.
mhm,
And you have to reach a certain amount of hours every year. So I have seen while looking for CPD courses for my boss, AI being involved in these courses in the sense of learning about AI. How does AI work in the legal field and that kind of
mhm,
thing? And it's like, I know my boss would be interested to some degree about what that's about, but
mhm.
um, I mean,
Is
he
your
talked.
boss like is your boss old school or is he just like,
Oh, he's
just
very old school.
yeah, okay.
He's not
That's fine.
old.
No, that's fine too.
No, no,
That's
no. He's not old by any sense. He's like not even 50 yet, but
oh no, I
close.
mean like old school, like no, like
Yeah,
how
but
people do
because he was
traditional ways and
basically
all this stuff. Yeah,
mentored.
go ahead.
Yeah, he was basically mentored by an older person who he's kind of really
Yeah,
adapted that
yeah,
from.
no, and that's no problem.
No,
But like
it's not. I wish some things he would ease up on, like printing trees every time that he needs to do something, but that's a different time for a different
printing
story for a different time. Oh,
trees.
he kills the paper in our place because he wants everything printed. It's easier.
Oh, okay. No, I
And I'm
understand.
just like, can we not? We're supposed to
Okay,
be
okay.
paperless. But anyways,
I see. I see.
um, but other than that, I know he's talked about it where he's like, oh, A ChatGPT can do this. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not getting involved with ChatGPT. I'm not getting involved with AI and
Is he is
generally.
it
I'm
is he the
okay
type
with
of is he the type of boss that just like watches like AI videos like
no,
and gets okay then all right good
no.
don't yeah like
He's
I
not
know
a
I
You have
yeah
to be smart as a well, not all of them. Whoops, guys. I
S-
just for those people
yeah
who work for lawyers are like, "Smart?
yeah
Lawyers are
yeah
smart?" But my boss
that's
actually is intelligent, so it's
oh no
no,
no
he's no
yeah yeah
dummy.
yeah yeah I just feel like you know it, yes AI can be used as a tool like Grammarly has been around before AI was like uh popularized as a like more of a tool, right?
Mm,
Grammarly was like the first destination. So like if you don't guys don't know what Grammarly is, it basically edits your grammar, it edits the wording. So at any type of like paragraph that you
mm,
need, it just automatically edits it and just edits your whole entire paragraph
It's
to
kinda
something else.
similar, but maybe better than, like, what Word offers with, like, their
Yeah,
proofing and
yeah,
all that
but it
kinda
was
thing.
just but they also added AI tools to their thing, like, the last couple years as well, so it's
Mhm,
a lot better, but they were, like, the first, like if you wanna call it, like, AI kinda tool to correct your grammar, correct your etcetera, all that stuff on your phone or
mm,
on your browser, because Word is not on browser, right?
mm.
Word is basically on a with like
It's an application.
application. So
Yeah.
basically, yeah, they were the first to do it, and then they just, you know, they added more like AI tools so it
Well,
could
there's
be
AI
even
tools
better.
to everything now.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You can't really get away
yeah.
from
Almost
it.
everything. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Your
yeah, it just
AI assistant or whatever the hell.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
no,
You
thank
just
you.
gotta you just gotta use it properly. A lot of people use it lazy.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people just right now are using lazy, but probably in the future when people start getting educated more about it, people will start using it properly as they're using it like they're using it. I remember back in like 1999 and 2000, people don't know what the internet was. They were shocked. They were confused.
Mhm.
Some people didn't like it. Some people didn't hate it. Some people hate it. You
Mhm.
know, some people didn't believe in it. It wasn't gonna last.
Well, now look.
So yeah, now we're here. So uh, yeah, so there's more to it, so but, otherwise than that, uh, you know, you just have to watch what you put in there, put in ChatGPT, and just, like, review it because, yes, it will spit out some stuff, and, yeah, like you said, just review it, don't be lazy, because if you be lazy, you're gonna get those types of results.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, so
Before we move on to the next topic, I just
yeah,
wanna
yeah,
ask you this question because I heard this on
yeah,
the radio,
yeah,
a little bit ago, of whether or not we would consider, because again, like, kids today
uh-huh,
have the benefit of ChatGPT.
uh-huh,
When we were in high school, we did not have
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Um,
nope.
Whether or not using ChatGPT for essays or assignments or whatever, would that be considered plagiarism? And
Um,
it makes me think, I don't know if you could consider that plagiarism.
you remember the calculator?
Mhm.
Remember people saw that was cheating?
Yeah. And now look, I know y'all use it all the
We
time.
and
That's
now
mental math
yeah,
anymore.
we use it now, it's a tool now,
Yeah.
exactly,
But it was
so
always it was a tool when I remember it being a tool when I was in school as well. But there
yeah,
was, and like more so high school. But
yeah,
I you still couldn't use it for everything, right?
yes,
You
yes,
had
but
to
not
do your,
yeah,
remember, show your work. That's what you
mhm,
had to do. We always heard that
it
in math class,
yep,
right? Show your work.
yeah,
Um,
it was called the cheating tool, back
mm,
then, it was you use it, you're cheating.
yeah.
The
But the
same
thing
thing
is I don't
the
think,
same
sorry,
um,
go ahead.
well, no, the same thing is happening with I feel like people who use ChatGPT with their essay, it's you can use it as a tool,
Use it as a
right?
tool, but I don't think you should use it 100% for
Mhm,
your assignment, but I do think that's what people are doing, because 'cause they're doing. And then I have to ask, where is the writing skills? Where do you have your writing skills?
yeah,
It's very important to have your writing skills.
huge,
And honestly, I feel like even when we were in school,
yeah,
honing in on your writing skills was
mhm,
still not even where it should have been. I mean, I
mhm,
definitely struggled in my writing skills, and where I'm at in my job
mhm,
is,
mhm,
um I write letters,
mhm,
without the assistance of my boss. I write letters without him viewing things. I do that. I wasn't always confident in my ability to write a letter. I And that could have been more of a confidence thing, but I also don't think I had the proper skills to properly formulate a letter. So even then, when we didn't have ChatGPT, and obviously I've honed my skill. I've been working
mhm,
consistently now for almost a decade.
mhm,
I have honed my skill,
mhm.
but at least I had some form of foundation. Where's the foundation for the kids today that have ChatGPT at their hands? When are you using or developing that skill? As
Yeah,
much as I think like the calculator is not a cheating tool, it is essential,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
I do think there was something in mental math as well. And I definitely
mhm,
struggled with mental math.
yeah,
I particularly hated mental math. I still do. Okay. I would literally have my teacher say, try not to count with your fingers, bitch, please. I still use my fingers. Okay. So, but my strong suit is not math. It's why I'm in law. Come on now. Anyways,
yeah,
mm-mm.
yeah, the thing is that, like, I feel like kids shouldn't be using it in a way that it you need
Where are you learning a skill? You might think school is useless, and maybe sometimes it is, because I can tell you, I've never used a parabola in my
mhm,
life.
mhm,
However,
yeah,
there is something that you do get out of school, and in particular, that it is your writing skills. If you intend to get like an office job or something,
mhm,
what is going to
yeah.
happen?
I f I feel like there should be, like, if they ever put like some restrictions onto like ChatGPT in the near future. I think that's one of the restriction that
But that has
is
to come from, like, a school board situation,
yeah.
you know?
That too, the school
Yeah.
board has to put some restrictions on there, but I don't know how would you put restrictions on ChatGPT or either the internet. Like,
I don't know.
I don't know if ki what is it ki what kids are, or the schools are using? Are they using paper or still? Are they using iPads or are they using the laptops to
I
write
mean, I
reports?
just know from when my brother was in school,
Uh-huh.
you could use your phone. You could he had access to an iPad. You could do that.
Yeah.
So a lot has changed, over time since
See.
we were in school.
Mhm.
But even him, he still didn't have access to ChatGPT even when he was in
Mhm.
college. I mean,
Oh,
ChatGPT
yeah, no,
really
no, yeah,
didn't
yeah.
blow up until he was just about to start. It was just about to graduate. And again, like what he did in college, he didn't really need to be doing a lot of writing because obviously he did video game development, so it's a little
Mhm,
bit
mhm,
different.
mhm,
So he didn't have that in high school, but he still had like access to use a phone.
mhm,
He
mhm.
had a computer in his hand that he could use without
Yeah,
penalty.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
We could never do that.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
We'd
'cause
get in trouble.
we had restrictions, like, we had restrictions not to use
Yeah,
phones, and
we weren't allowed to use
I
a phone.
I I do think, I do think the school board should look into that, like, should they start banning phones? Should they start banning phones in classes? Outside of classes, the students could use it because
Mm,
either way,
yeah, we all did.
uh, I don't know, outside of classes, like, when you finish class, go into your locker, you can use
Going
it,
to your
whatever.
next class or whatever,
And then when
which
you go into your next class, you put the phone away, or you put the phone in your locker, leave it in your locker, right?
I
So
mean, I never left my phone in my locker. It was always with me, but I just didn't use it.
yeah, so that's the best way I would think if the school wants to do it or the school board wants to do that, that's the best way of going at things.
Yeah, I
Cause
mean, go back to how things used to be. We all
mhm,
survived without using a phone.
mhm. So
Oh,
when it comes to yeah, so I mean, when it comes like yeah, that's how I see it. So, like, it's up to the school to make that
well, I think it
decision.
starts with the Ministry of Education and then trickles
Have
down from there.
have they ever talked about doing that or
I mean,
talked
I
about,
don't
like,
know. This
there's some school I remember we talked about some of the school there was a report, some schools are willing to
It was
ban
more surrounding, I believe, what you're talking about is
oh, okay,
social
right,
media usage in school. But
right,
it was the problem is that this has been the norm since my brother was in elementary school. So
and
like
they
I just
still have
don't
their
know.
phones in classes?
Yeah, since he was, I
That's
mean, he hasn't had a phone in the beginning of school, but iPad. They were going to provide him an iPad in school from when he was in grade 1 or 2.
see, the
It's been
iPad
a norm for a very long time.
see the iPad you can restrict. You don't
The
have to put
iPad, especially ones
Wi-Fi.
coming from the school, can be restricted,
Yeah,
but that
you
wasn't the
don't have to
point
put
of the
Wi
he was going to have access to the Wi-Fi.
he was gonna have access to
Yes,
Wi
yes, they were going to
They
restrict it
shouldn't
in the
they
sense of where you couldn't do,
uh-uh.
like, research or whatnot or something like that,
They shouldn't have Wi-Fi.
but they do,
That's
they do.
well, they kinda shouldn't. They
They
should
shouldn't, but they do,
yeah, yeah,
or it
well,
should
you
be
should well,
locked or
they
whatever.
well, don't get me wrong, the students shouldn't have Wi-Fi. The and I know the school does have Wi-Fi. They should have Wi-Fi going around the school, obviously, but in the class,
You can
there should
restrict
be,
Wi-Fi from one place to the next.
uh,
That's not something you can do. It's there. And I personally would think
mhm.
not have it if the phones are going to be accessible to people, that not having Wi-Fi is gonna be a big problem for parents
Doesn't
because you're using data
mhm,
instead, and
mhm.
that's gonna be a lot,
Wait,
right? Because Hmm?
doesn't the iPad have education mode?
I don't know.
I can't
Doesn't
remember.
matter though if the school is allowing them to use it for, like,
But
researching or
but
whatever.
another thing too is like I know if there's like when it comes to like websites, they do block it though.
Yes. Yes, it's always been, you know,
So they can always do that.
they could, which they probably would. Because but again, remember this,
Yeah.
it's only if you're on their Wi-Fi. Don't you think kids are smart enough to get off of the Wi-Fi?
They don't have enough money to for mobile
Doesn't
data.
matter. Kids don't care about that. They don't care about data. They don't care because they're not the
They're
ones
on
paying
their
for the
they're on their
bills.
mama's plan.
But that's exactly what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
parents' plan, yeah.
They they could care less. I'm telling you from from perspective where before I had a texting plan, I just texted until it ran up the bill and my mom cut off texting. Kids don't care about
Well,
what something costs.
yeah, well,
So if they
yeah,
want to
probably.
have access to their social media, all
Mhm.
they got to do is switch off their Wi-Fi. Done. And you forget what it's like to be a kid, I
Oh,
think,
oh no, oh no, I haven't forgotten. It's just like, I'm
and
just
what
trying
you're
to
willing to do.
I'm just trying to suggest a lot of certain situations.
But blocking like social media or YouTube or anything like that in a school situation is only going to work if they're on the Wi-Fi. All they have to do is switch off the Wi-Fi and they can do whatever they want. You can't restrict it otherwise. You just
There's a
can't.
there's a lot of kids who I like every single time I hear about like I don't want to use my mobile data. I don't want to use my mobile data. I don't want to use my mobile. I hear that so many times
Mhm.
during my school years. I don't want to use my mobile data. But yeah, that's why I'm saying that
But in
they
school, we
should
didn't
not have.
have the same type of situation with data as we do today. So in high school, it was very different. We had data was starting to become a thing, but it was different. You still had things were different. Everything today in terms of data and what's included in like a package is so different than what it was when we were in school. We didn't have texting available. Data really and truly only was applied to internet, which internet could blow up you couldn't go on the internet because it would blow up your bill if you were to go on it. And I can't remember what the amount would be, but I remember internet being huge. I never went on the internet because it was more expensive to do so with the phones back then. Like I said, texting wasn't included. All that kind of thing was not included. Today, everything is included in your contracts. Unlimited texting.
Mhm,
Internet, well, you kind of need it for everything that you do anyways.
mhm.
Sure, they're like, for example, for Samsung, stick to Google. It's cheaper. If you go and use a Samsung internet browser, it's more expensive. But nonetheless, though, we're always connected to a Wi-Fi.
Mm.
I don't recall that being the case back then.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my theory is just like basically just keep the phones off in class and just keep it in their lockers, right? Or just restrict the websites, right? Either one of those two.
Mm,
Y- y- I still think kids are like, more worried about mom and dad, in my opinion. But I because their parents are always saying, "Don't waste my mobile data." If I see it on there, on if you're using it during I'm taking your phone or this and that. So most of these kids, I don't think they
I'm
want to use
just
up their
depending
mobile data.
on mobile data. Um, like for example, we have quite a bit of mobile data available between the three of us.
Yep.
I can't remember what the amount is, but it's a lot. Um, I don't even think if I didn't have access to Wi-Fi, it still wouldn't go up. Now I'm an adult, but whatever.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
um,
There's a student plan, isn't it? A student plan, and then there's a family plan as well. So I don't.
well, I don't know how many people are going to use a student plan if they're on a family member's plan. You might as well just get a family plan in that sense. I think a student plan really is only good if you're paying for your own phone. like, as a student in, like, college or university or something.
My parents pay.
I don't think student plan is worth it if you're already just on a family's,
Yeah,
um
some families pay for the student
I
plan
think
for
a
their
family plan is
kids.
more cost
Yeah, yeah,
effective
that too.
than a
Family or
student plan.
student plan. Family or student plan, depending on the parent. If they feel like they want to pay for that child wants their own phone, they'll pay for it with the with student plan. But the family plan makes more sense. But there's probably some kids that have student plans as well. So yeah. But yeah, yeah, that's my best option to keep ChatGPT away from the just, for the school board to just, like, keep phones out of classes, keep them outside of class, breaks, recess. They can just, like, play with it, or go the library is another one too. They can play around in the library, but in class, while they're learning and, trying to do, like, tests, quizzes, etcetera, they shouldn't be able to use their phones and whatever. That's the only way that's gonna decrease on, um, them using ChatGPT. Obviously, if they get iPods, whatever, obviously the IP address, like, they can just block the ChatGPT.com, or they can just, like, uh, I don't think you can download they can actually delete the App Store as well, so, like, that's another thing too, they can delete the App Store
Or
as
if not
well, so
delete it, it could be like you can't download an app without the administrator or something like of that effect.
yes,
So yeah.
yes, yeah, they can do that as well. Those are restrictions that they can do, so they can apply those. Hopefully, I don't know if a lot of these schools across America or across the, Canada are looking into that. Because if they don't do it, it's gonna be increasingly and people won't be able to think, and, yeah, because school time is valuable time. That's very valuable. You wanna lead the next generation to keep learning, etcetera, all that stuff. Um, yeah, so, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Let's move on to the next topic. So Air Canada is reducing a number of non-union management positions. The airline arrived at the difficult decision to cut some positions after an extensive review. Vice President of Corporate Communications Christophe Hannibal said in a statement to CBC News, quote, Air Canada regularly reviews its resources and processes to ensure they are optimized to efficiently support business operations and its customers. Hannibal said the reductions amount to approximately 1% of Air Canada's total staff, so about 400 people. Hannibal did not respond to questions about whether the positions would be reduced through attrition or by not filling vacant jobs. He said the cuts would not have any impact on day to day operations. So the job cuts happened the same day that Air Canada announced it would expand service from Toronto's Billy Bishop Airport, including 10 new daily flights to 4 U.S. destinations: New York, Boston, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., as well
Mhm.
as 2 flights to Ottawa and 1 to Montreal. The U.S. flights will begin in the spring, while the additional trips to Montreal and Ottawa probably have already started in January. Air Canada already runs 8 daily flights from Toronto Island to Montreal and 4 to Ottawa. This
Mm,
is our most significant expansion at Toronto Island since Air Canada first served the airport 35 years ago. Air Canada Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer Mark Galador said in a news release earlier in that day. The new Air Canada routes mark an escalation in the emerging rivalry between Porter and the flag carrier. Porter is headquartered at Billy Bishop and already services the 4 U.S. cities. The bulk of Air Canada's domestic and international service is operated from Toronto's Pearson Airport. Air Canada is due to release its third quarter results, so that would have already happened. But in the estimate release, the airline stated that it saw a 2% decline in operating capacity compared to the same period last year as a result of more than 3,200 flight cancellations in August. So that would have been August, I think, of 2025, when unionized flight attendants walked off the job. So Air Canada grounded flights on August 16th after some 10,000 flight attendants went on strike. Within hours, Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu ordered the company and Canadian Union of Public Employees, CUPE, which represents the airline's flight attendants, to go to binding arbitration and the employees to return to work.
Mhm.
CUPE and the flight attendants defy the back to work order and continued job action until August 19th, when the two sides reached a tentative agreement. Flight attendants overwhelmingly rejected the airline's wage offer well, last year, and CUPE later requested an end to mediation and reached an agreement with Air Canada to proceed to binding arbitration. The airline estimates the strike had a financial impact of $375 million in operating income.
Mm.
Air Canada and other airlines have also seen a drop off in travel to the US. Kind of talked about this in response to President Donald Trump's trade war with Canada, causing air carriers to adjust schedules and US bound flights. According to Statistics Canada data from September, the number of Canadian residents returning from the US by air declined 27.1% from the same month the year before.
Mm.
So that is that. It's probably part of the reason why they had to lay off management jobs, because it's always the ones that make the most money that goes first. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, is there a reason? Is there a reason why they got laid off?
it's probably
Did I
because they're
miss
not,
something?
probably because of money. It's always money.
One of the strings,
It's always money.
and it's Air Canada, right?
Mm,
It's
yeah.
hmm, I wonder why. Huh, huh.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
travel's going down in the US
oh
to the
yeah,
US.
right.
If that's
Right.
gonna
Yeah, I forgot about that.
it's gonna be a
And
deal.
I see that people are basically saying that people still going to America. Yeah, there's still
People
people that
are
still going to
going.
America. Yeah, but just not as, frequently and as like, in the past. Like there's it compared to the last like few months and probably 2024, it's probably a significant increase in 2024 than now, but there's probably a real decrease in 2025, right? So if you compare those two, it's a huge decrease in the data research. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's yeah.
All right. So, next topic. So this is an immigration lawyer sounds alarm on federal government's Bill C-12. So, a new border security bill features controversial adjustments to Canada's immigration process that has upset lawyers and advocates. Bill C-12 would give authorities the power to cancel or suspend visas, as well as work or study permits, if it is in the public's interest. But public interest is code for whatever the government wants. It to mean at that time, according to immigration lawyer Chantel, I think it's DeSolgas. I think every Canadian should be concerned about this bill, even if they think immigration doesn't affect their life directly. So C-12 opens the door to unnecessary challenges for immigrants and refugees, DeSolgas argued. Under the law, refugees
Mhm.
would not be able to access the necessary government hearings if they don't apply for asylum within a year of entering
Mhm.
Canada. A move the lawyer suggested was short-sighted. Suppose I was a Ukrainian citizen who visited Canada 10 years ago. Why should that then bar me, after the Russia-Ukraine war started, from making a refugee claim now that the situation has completely changed? What does my entry into Canada more than a year ago have to do with what's going on in my country of origin now? It's
Mhm.
completely arbitrary. The Canadian Immigration Law Association echoes DeSolge's comments, warning that C-12 grants excessively broad powers. They criticize the definition of public interest, warning that the bill gave the government the power. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it back up. Uh, um,
Mhm.
sorry, I don't know where I am now. Okay, So, yeah, the Immigration Lawyers Association echoes DeSolge's comments, warning that C-12 grants excessively broad powers. They criticize the definition of public interest, warning that the bill gave the government the power to cancel visas, permits, and permanent residence without giving people notice or opportunity to respond. Hmm,
Mm.
that's lovely. C-12 would add more stress to the refugee system, not ease it, the association warned. The bill does nothing to address the untenable IRB backlog of unheard refugee claims. Um, so some critics say that C-12 has the same problem that Bill C-2, a similar piece of legislation, had. The story of this legislative package is the same today as it was on day one of Bill C-2's introduction. It's about pleasing U.S. President Donald Trump. And this was said by Matt Hatfield, Executive Director of Open Media. Hatfield issued his statement after more than 300 civil society organizations came together in June to criticize the Bill C-2, C-12's sister legislation. Some argue that C-12 is a repackaging effort designed to skip past the overwhelmingly opposition to C-2. Bill C-2 had previously faced criticism over the expanded powers it gave to law enforcement agencies. C-12 leaves intact the measures to block refugee hearings, impose arbitrary retroactive one-year bars, and grant ministers mass immigration status cancellation powers, said Karen Kokic, who was spokesperson for the Migrant Rights Network. C-2 was originally presented as the Strong Borders Act, a move that Amnesty International said was designed to appease Trump. The government ended up creating C-12 in order to pass some of C-2 faster, but will continue working on passing the original law. However, C-12 was an exact copy of the provisions attacking refugees and migrants in Bill C-2, Amnesty International said. My question, because I don't doubt that for a second, but my question is, what does our immigration have to do with Trump? Get the off of our immigration. Thank you very much. Next topic. 'Cause I don't want to focus on that guy too long. Um,
Mhm, mhm,
so yes, the next bonus topic. This is going to be a fun one. I don't know if you heard about this, but
mhm,
Ford Ford's at it again. So Ontario Premier Doug Ford is standing behind his government's decision to lift a freeze on college and university tuition, telling reporters that some institutions could have been forced to close without the ability to generate additional revenue. The BC government announced and actually last week, that it would allow colleges and universities to increase tuition by up to 2% per year for the next 3 years, ending a freeze that had been in effect since 2019.
mhm,
At the same time, the government said that it would decrease the proportion of grants offered through OSAP from roughly 85% of total funding to a maximum of 25% starting in the fall.
mhm,
That is going to hurt. Quote, folks, it was in the red. It was just not sustainable. And the sector was telling me it was not sustainable, Ford said at Queen's Park on Tuesday. If we continued going, we would be closing down colleges and universities. Ford said on Tuesday that he has received thousands of calls from students upset about the changes to OSAP and the lifting of the tuition freeze. He said that for years he resisted lifting the freeze despite massive pressure from the heads of the colleges and universities, but ultimately had to do something to support colleges and universities that have struggled financially amid new limits on international student enrollment. He said that his message
mhm,
to students in the wake of the changes is that, quote, they have to invest in their future and in in-demand jobs. A lot of the students, you are picking basket weaving courses, and there are not too many baskets being sold out there. Go into
yeah.
healthcare, go into trades, go into jobs of the future. Focus on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math.
I saw that clip.
Said those
Yeah, I
are
saw
where
that.
the jobs are. Ford, you can't go out here and telling people what they should be doing. Who are you to be telling people what they should be doing?
there was somebody that says he doesn't even have a high school degree.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. I don't know if we covered that when we talked about the Fords, but um, I wouldn't be
That's
surprised.
the he yeah that and yeah that's basically all I have to add. But like yeah no like it um does this have to do with anything with like the tariffs or anything like that or
No,
no
I
like
think it's more so
right
about the fact that there, which we did talk about, there's a cap in international students coming in.
hmm
So because there's a cap in that, the schools, I guess, are not making the same amount of money that they would be, because they
so
don't
they can
make the same amount of money on domestic students as they do on international
hmm
students.
yeah
Where domestic students into tuition could be, back in my day, was about $4,000 a year.
yeah
The stat for an international student can go
uh
upwards to about $15,000 a year.
right okay
So
I
that's where
see.
they make their money.
And they basically increased it a bit more, right? They increased it
They're going
from
to
the
be
original.
increasing tuition 2% for the next 3 years.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
why did they freeze it at first? Was there a
It's
reason? 'Cause I
probably
haven't
to aid in people being able to go to post-secondary school.
uh-huh.
It's not cheap. My tuition amount um
Uh-huh.
was probably about 10,000, close to maybe $11,000 at the end
Mhm.
of my schooling. That
And this
was
was
that was back in 2012, you know?
okay.
So imagine what that would be now.
And
Um, but
mhm.
that's why they give a break to people so they can attend school. But
Right.
with now, not only that, but then the OSAP changes
Mhm.
where like they said up to 85% is grants, so money you
Right.
do not need to pay back. Now that's changing to 25%.
So wouldn't that stop funding the school if you put a freeze on it?
No, that's
Oh no?
affecting the
Okay.
students
Oh, is
because
it?
OSAP always pays your pretty much your full tuition for that year. They will
Okay.
pay your full tuition for that year. The problem now lies is what's going to be a grant and what's going to be a loan. So let's just say this again, I was just going to say $4,000 was my tuition, right? You would get a breakdown in your OSAP papers. What's a grant? What's a loan? So let's just say 1,500 of that is a grant that I do not need to pay back.
Right.
And then the rest is a loan. Now, with this change with OSAP putting 25% up to 25% for grants, that can be more like $500 of a $4,000 tuition for that year is going to be a grant versus the rest of it is going to be a loan, which
Mhm.
means at the end of your schooling, that means more money that you have to pay at the end. Like, does it, so it's just, that's where the problem lies. And then when you add the fact, like where I went to school, I was lucky. I didn't have to pay for travel. Travel was worked in to my tuition. Um, and I went to Durham College, so um that's how they work. But they're one of the only colleges/universities that offers that. Others do not offer that. So not only are you paying for tuition, textbooks, food, you also have to now pay for your travel. It's a very expensive venture. So for OSAP to then turn around, I'm sure at the behest of um, higher powers, that this is now the change that's going to be happening. It's that's it's a kick in the teeth as a student, and there's a lot of students that don't have the ability to have money saved up. Like me, I didn't have a full year's tuition that my mom had saved up for me for many different reasons, but I didn't have that. But didn't have more than that. There are people who have nothing.
Mm.
So it's sad. It's I think the only times that maybe you can get away with this is, like, for example, my brother barely has any tuition or OSAP that he has to pay
Mm,
back because he's considered a person with a disability. It's
mm,
probably the only time you get like, he's very lucky. His end of his college years, his OSAP was, I think my mom said, 300 or something dollars or something like that. I wish. Still paying off my tuition. My OSAP, what do you mean? But
mm, mhm,
it's I feel bad, but I also had grants. You would get textbook grants. Mind you, textbook grant didn't really do much for me, but, because my textbooks were freaking expensive. That's the other thing. You're looking at potentially buying textbooks. It's my textbooks most of my textbooks were bought in my first year, and with the exception of maybe having to buy some here or there throughout the rest of the years that I was there, but most of them were bought in the first year.
mm.
My textbooks at the end of the day must have been getting upwards to, I'm gonna guess, six to $700. It was
Jeez, that's
not cheap.
eh, that's expensive, yeah.
Yeah, it is. So,
So if you lose your textbook, you would have had to pay for it back.
you have to pay for it back, yeah. You
It's the
don't
same.
lose your textbooks, you guard that thing with your life. I still have mine.
So you had to pay for the full price, the same price?
Mhm.
Six.
It's not their problem that I lost my book. It's on them. It's on me, I mean, so yeah. But no, you with, like I said, with my textbooks from school, I'm pretty sure I still have mine somewhere. I know my boyfriend has his textbooks too. You pay for that. I ain't giving it away. I mean, you
Is
could
it
give it
one?
away.
Is it one textbook or just like a
For
few?
me, I had multiple. I had, um, 6 or 7 or maybe 8 different textbooks throughout my 3 years that I was there. Because
Oh,
again,
nice.
most of them got reused. But yes, about that. You
It's
had the
eight.
criminal code, I had
Okay, probably.
civil
It's like
procedures. Yeah.
it's like $50, 50 to 40 to fifty
No, there
dollars
were
a
some
piece
books that were over $100.
a piece.
Well over $100. Yeah. Mhm.
It's like, huh,
Textbooks are not cheap.
it's insane.
Yep, but textbooks are not cheap, and that's why having that money accessible to you is so beneficial. So when you don't have that, or now you're saying that I'll have it, but then I have to pay that all back at the end. It's that sucks. I thought we were going to a place where we were trying to have change for people so they can attend post-secondary school, while all of a sudden now we're going backwards, if not worse. Like, it's really it's really angering. But anyway, so um where were we? Okay. So as part of the changes announced last week, the Ford government also committed an additional $6.4 billion in funding for the post-secondary sector over the next 4 years. The changes, however, have been widely criticized by student groups and opposition leaders. Last
Mm,
week, Canadian Federation of Students Ontario Branch Government Relations and Policy Coordinator Kayla Wheeler told the Canadian Press that the changes to OSAP in particular will be a huge disadvantage for students and will likely result in the next cohort of students graduating with more student debt than ever before. Meanwhile, NDP critic Peggy Sadler said that instead of fixing the affordability crisis, the government is telling students to take on more debt and hope things somehow work out. For his part, Ford said that he hopes that by contributing more post secondary students will be more accountable. What does that even mean? Okay.
mm,
Ford also appeared to suggest that some students are taking advantage of OSAP, telling reporters he has heard nightmare stories about kids going out there and
mm.
I'm sorry, I have Ford. Okay, I'm going to say this again. Try to get through this without throwing hands. Ford also appeared to suggest that some students are taking advantage of OSAP, telling reporters he has heard, and I quote, nightmare stories about kids going out there and buying fancy watches and cologne. Tell me you haven't attended a post-secondary school without telling me you haven't attended post-secondary school. What the are you talking about?
Mm,
We can't afford that when we're in school. Maybe, just maybe, people are buying those quote unquote fancy watches and cologne with their own money from working. Because 9 times out of 10, most of us have to work to get through school. What are you talking about? He doesn't understand how this works. Here's how I know he doesn't know how this works. When I was in school, you didn't get a lick of your OSAP until the school was paid for that semester. That is how this worked.
mm,
The money you got from OSAP to pay your tuition went directly to the school.
yeah.
The rest of it, which whatever that is for you, for me, that was maybe slightly over $2,000 to survive off of for the whole semester was then deposited into my bank account.
Mm,
2,500 or so dollars that I would get from OSAP was not put towards fancy watches or cologne. The worst
mm,
thing I ever did with my tuition money was give it to an ex-boyfriend of mine who took advantage of me. And I learned that lesson. And I never did that again. You'll know
mm,
who he is if I said his name, but I won't say his name on the podcast. He doesn't
alright.
need to be remembered. But either way, that is the worst I did. But I definitely never went out there and bought watches, cologne,
Mhm,
perfume, or whatever. And I did work. My second year was the only time I worked when I was in college. It was my second year of college. So I didn't have the time to do any other year anyways. But that's the only time. Plus, we were in a recession at the time as well. So getting jobs was not easy.
mm,
So that, like, for him to say that is
mm,
so tone deaf. And when I
mm,
heard him, because I actually watched the press thing where he said this, I'm like, what the are you talking about? My mom was watching it too. She's like, he said, what now? Like,
mhm,
no one is doing that. Like, and even if they are, what's it to you? When at the end of the day, we have to pay it back anyways. It's
mm,
no skin off of your back, sir. Anyway,
yeah,
if they have investments into their education and their parents have investments in their education, they're going to focus on it and they aren't going to drop out and they aren't going to be looking for a different job after going to school for one type of sector and finding out that there's no more jobs, which again, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Anyways,
right,
very angering. Sounds like a fool. This is going to be
mm,
very interesting.
yeah,
Um, but my final bonus topic here,
mhm,
which
mhm.
I think is important for people to hear this one. Netflix is ending support over 87 million devices, and you have until March to upgrade this. So let's kind of go into this.
87 devices such as,
Well,
like,
let's get into the article and we'll find out.
yeah,
You have less than 2 weeks to enjoy the Netflix app on your PlayStation 3. So, starting on March 2nd, the
yeah,
streamer
come
is
on.
ending support for the long running app on the nearly 20-year-old console. I think that's fair
Yeah.
enough. In
Yeah, it's
addition,
out. Yeah, it's out. That yeah, the UI is very outdated, but yeah, go
mm,
ahead.
in addition, various smart TVs that are over 10 years old will be losing support for Netflix, as well as some older setup boxes.
Alright,
We haven't seen an official announcement from Netflix, but users on Reddit and Twitter are posting that they're seeing a new message when they attempt to use the app on their PS3. Unfortunately, Netflix will no longer be available on this device after March 2nd, 2026. Visit netflix.com/compatible devices to see a list of
mhm,
supported devices.
mhm,
Um, Netflix and the PS3 go back to 2009. when you had to request a special Blu-ray disc to access the digital service
Yeah.
due to
Yeah.
an exclusivity deal the company had with Xbox for the 360. The deal
Mhm.
expired in 2010 when the app finally became available. Over its lifetime, the PS3 sold more than 87 million consoles.
Mhm.
For a time, gaming consoles were the place to stream for streaming, especially Netflix. True. The cheap price and the inclusion of Netflix sold more Wii's than the gimmicky controllers. But TVs and streaming devices have become a lot smarter and more available since 2009. As several Redditors have pointed out, the PS3 was one of the last ways to natively watch TVs and movies natively filmed in 4:3. I don't know what that is. We don't need
Four
to know.
three.
I don't
Is that
know.
4:3 ratio or is it
Yeah,
a
4:3
ratio of the?
ratio.
Oh, okay.
Meaning you don't get the black bar. Oh, okay. Meaning you don't get the black bars on the sides of the image that you
Oh
see on
yeah.
modern TVs.
Yeah.
That said, the PS3 doesn't support more current formats like Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus, or 4K streaming. It's
Mm.
also the last console from that generation to support the app. The Wii was discontinued a while ago, and since Microsoft shut down the 360 store, you can only use the app if you already had it downloaded on your Xbox 360. Others said it was one of the few ways they could share Netflix with family since it had no location service and no ads.
Mm.
According to Flat Panels HD, smart TVs that are 10 plus years old will be losing support for Netflix. This is because older smart TVs don't get the necessary OS upgrades to support newer
Yeah.
versions of the Netflix app. In addition, Netflix will apparently stop working on various setup boxes come March 4th, 2026. This includes the BT TV Box C4 and BT TV Recordable Box G4 made available from the UK broadcaster. Other older setup boxes could be affected as well. Back in 2025, we reported, or they well, this people reported on first generation Fire TV devices losing support for Netflix, which launched in 2014. So around 10 years seems to be the cutoff point. So
Yeah,
yes,
they're probably losing some money on that too. So like leaving it on their these platforms. I don't know if it's free or it's costing them. Can't
mm,
remember what.
I don't know, but it's probably more so. Even if like there is some sort of fee to that or whatever it is, it's probably more so about compatibility, like anything
Actually,
else,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, there's certain things that you can't use because of compatibility issues. So
Mhm, mhm,
it's probably
mhm.
where we are at with this one. So just in
So,
case anyone still uses Netflix on your PS3 or a smart TV that's 10 years older or whatever, just
mhm,
be prepared that you might lose your access to your Netflix or
mhm,
start using it on your phone until you can make a change or
mhm.
whatever, or your
Yeah.
laptop. That works too until you can make a change.
Mhm,
But,
mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's basically it for me.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, yeah. Yeah. Um, I have nothing else to say.
Okay.
That's it for me as well. Um, and yeah, hope everybody enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you when are we next, Tanika?
Well, our next episode is going to be on Thursday,
Mhm, mhm.
with our first Women's History Month episode.
Let's go.
So yeah, we'll kinda get into that when we get into that.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys then.
Mhm.
Peace.
Bye. If you liked what you heard with our podcast, you can head on over to our website, which is solo.to/next take podcast. There you can get any of the links to any of our social media, which is Facebook, Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Take Pod. You can also find links to our Reddit page and many other things, I'm sure. Can't remember all the top of my head. You can also email us at mikeltanyka@gmail.com. There you can send us any inquiries that you have, any questions, or also any episode ideas. And if you do have episode ideas, just make sure you put in the subject line episode ideas, and we'll add it to our list. If you also liked us, you can like us, rate us, follow us on any of your favorite podcast apps. You can rate us, however, on Spotify and Apple Podcast. We would greatly appreciate that. And we'll also move forward and share or spot a light on those who give us 5-star ratings in the future. That is it for us. We'll see you next time for the episode.